Hey Tennyson, Derek tells me you were interested in XK 140s, and there's a couple of them out here, and Derek's been good enough to volunteer my car for the documentary. I've owned the car for 19 years. The story I got when I had it was that the car had had an engine fire in '69, been off the road in boxes and bags, which was kind of the state I got it in. It was a rusty mess, no engine, no transmission, etc. It was kind of more or less the car of my dreams. When I bought it, I couldn't afford to restore it, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to own one, so I bought a derelict and held on to it till I could afford to restore it. It was in restoration for 5 years in Austin with classic Jaguar and Dan Mooney over there. Not that they needed 5 years. I needed 5 years to pace myself through the cost of it, which is about a $300,000 restoration, ground up, and it's not stock. It's one of the things I debated, but not having matching numbers and wanting to drive the car, I opted for drivability options, which include modern aluminum radiator, a modern 5-speed transmission. I've swapped out the 140 rear axle for a 150 with disc brakes. I've put E-type uprights on the front end and disc brakes on the front end, a 150 oil pan, bypass oil filter with a bypass back to the pan, which I wouldn't have had with a 140. It's got racing buckets in it, which would have been an option at the time. I was fortunate to find a proper C-type head, which is appropriate to the plate, and built the engine around that. Other than that, that's pretty much the story. I think one interesting thing is I did get a Jaguar Heritage certificate on it a few years ago, and I really wanted to get more history on the car. And the original distributor was Charles Hornberg in LA, and it was sold in Bueller. And I was inclined to start looking for a Bueller, California, couldn't find it. Original owner was represented to be O.D. Dodge Jr., and web searches on that didn't turn up anything. Last week I had the bright idea that maybe it wasn't Bueller, California, so I just punched in Bueller on MapQuest. There's 2 of them in the U.S., one of them is in Kansas. I bought the car from Joe Eagle, who was a vintage race enthusiast and a car dealer in Kansas City, and there was and then I did an O.D. Dodge search in Bueller and came up with a hit. And I got a woman answered the phone. I asked for O.D. Dodge. She said, "What do you want?" in kind of a contentious way. And when she found out what I was doing, she brightened up a bit, gave me the history that she was familiar with. She was O.D. Dodge's widow. He died in 2002. He had parted with a car before they married, so she didn't know a lot, but she did find one picture. She connected me with his best friend up in Washington. I gave him a call. He gave me a little bit more history. He's sitting on the original plate. I put 55 Texas plates on here, but he would have an original Kansas plate from 55. So we're still building the history on the car. It drives really well, and the brakes are a great addition. I had to make, the seats were an option kind of that influenced by my size. I'm 6'3", and it just gives me more leg room. A slightly smaller wheel, but very appropriate for the car. But these would have been vintage options at the time anyway. So yeah, it drives great.